You're still tuned in to News and Views of myself, Salailo Makwidir. We're in the second and latter hour of the show, and we're going to be switching gears and having a very, very interesting conversation that is lined up. South Africa is once again stepping into the global spotlight, this time as the featured nation in the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development's flagship country focused webinar series. It's taking place later today, the 11th of June. This virtual platform aims to bring together senior government officials, private sector leaders, and chambers of commerce to unpack South Africa's strategic investment landscape and its role in driving growth across the African continent and the world. It's a part of a global, broader effort to accelerate capital movement and unlock new partnerships within the Islamic world. And this morning, we're privileged to be joined by Mr. Ebrahim Patel, the president of Minara Chamber of Commerce. He's here to break down what this opportunity means for the country, the sectors that are poised, for transformation. Transformation, big word here in South Africa, always thrown around, and why South Africa remains a compelling destination for ethical and impactful investment. And I think this one is very, very important. Mr. Patel is joining us via a virtual platform. Mr. Patel, thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for giving us the time. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran for the opportunity to talk about such a wonderful opportunity. And in your introduction, you gave a succinct reason of why we are embarking on this particular webinar.
No, definitely. And I think we can kickstart the conversation there. The broader vision. What does, number one, this mean for South Africa to be selected as the key focus country in this ICCD series? What message does this send to global investment community, and why is it so important?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. The Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development, which is headquartered in Saudi Arabia, countries and a number of other non-OIC member countries. South Africa has been chosen to present the opportunities that are available within our country to the members of those organizations throughout the OIC countries. Now, there are two reasons for that. South Africa has become a well-known brand on the international stage for various reasons. One is the opportunities that have been created through the discussions that have been held by our government and various other governments across the country, presidential visits to different countries. The second reason is our stance on the global stage in terms of geopolitics, where we have taken strong stances on a number of matters, and we've become a focus of discussion on the global arena amongst global leaders. So there's a lot more interest taking place in South Africa. And to us, that is a positivity. That focus on South Africa enhances the brand of South Africa itself. And we as South Africans need to understand that there's a huge potential to our country, the economic potential. You spoke about transformation. How do we transform the economy to become more inclusive and expanded? Now, the challenge that the Minister of Finance has faced is we have a shrinking economy. We have a increasing expense at the national level. How does he balance the two? Now, we know the government, in terms of politics, in terms of its socioeconomic activity, wants to share the economy amongst people. But as the economy shrinks, it means we have smaller bits to share. Our understanding as business is that we need to grow the economy, we need to expand the economy so that we can share more. And I think that is where the focus of South Africa on this global arena now becomes important. So ICCID has selected South Africa to broadcast its positive message to its member countries, and in that way attract investment and trade between South Africa and other countries. So it's not just about attracting investment into South Africa, but also open up the opportunity of exporting goods from South Africa to other countries.
No, definitely. I think very, very important point that you're making. The Minara Chamber of Commerce is an organization that has long championed inclusive economic participation. How is the chamber engaging with this initiative, and what sectors are you particularly hoping to spotlight?
In this particular webinar, so let me break this up into two parts of your question. One is the activities of the chamber. The activities of the chamber are to build networking between businesses in South Africa so across the entire region of South Africa. And as you know, we have chapters in Durban, Johannesburg, and Cape Town, which
Mm-hmm.
gives us a footprint across the entire country. And to build a network between businesses in those provinces and across those provinces and across the entire country. The second is to build a network between South African businesses, and particularly members of the Minara Chamber of Commerce, and businesses in other parts of the world to create opportunities for cross-border and globalized trade. And that expands the economic activity. The second part of it, which is in what we are looking to highlight within this seminar, is that Minara is a collaborative organization. That means we'd like to build collaboration between like-minded organizations globally so that we can we can create a bigger platform in which networking can take place. The second is to highlight those positive areas, particularly in agro-processing, in manufacturing, in the food sector, where we as South Africa need to explore the opportunity of exporting halal goods from South Africa to other parts of the world. And there's a huge demand for it. And if we start participating within that sphere of the global economy, it brings a great deal of positivity, not just to the Muslim community in South Africa, but the total society of South Africa as we create more businesses, create more job opportunities. And the one thing that we need to also understand is that when we are talking about the halal economy, it doesn't preclude the non-Muslim community from being involved in the halal economy. So if we have a lady in rural Zululand who is very good at designing outfits, create a collaboration between her and the modest wear sector so that she can then extend her business into a global arena
Mm.
using creativity of the rural areas to bring into the fashion of modest wear. And in that kind of way, we start bringing this inclusiveness between the Muslim community and the rest of South Africa.
I think very, very important to note inclusivity. Um, you touched on my next point a bit, but when it comes to investment and global markets, we know how key perception is and just how much it matters. In your view, how is South Africa currently perceived by foreign investors, and what kind of narratives can we say maybe need a reshaping of some sort?
Well, let's start off with on the global arena in terms of rating agencies. We've seen our credit rating at a global level improve, which means that there's a great deal more positivity in South Africa's fiscal and economic policies by global investors. The second part has been that through the negativity of Trump's focus on South Africa and the last visit of President Cyril Ramaphosa to Washington has bred positivity and has created new avenues of business for
Mm,
South Africa. So we've established a stronger relationship with Europe, we're establishing a stronger relationship with the Far East, and we're establishing a far stronger relationship in the African continent, which means that there's a great deal more focus that's taking place in South Africa. The interesting part of your question is what do we need to do to take advantage of that positivity? What's the mind shift that we need to have? And I think that it's at two levels. One is at government level. Government needs to understand that it has to create the platform where businesses can engage at a global level. And that is through the trade missions that take place between South Africa and other parts of the world. But at the same time, government needs to have a great deal more focus on infrastructure development. One of the biggest things that is holding back our economy is the fact that we have a robust industrial infrastructure, but we have a crumbling logistical infrastructure, which means that goods that have been produced can't get to markets fast enough. Our rails infrastructure has collapsed, our ports are under stress, our road infrastructure is collapsing. And if we don't pay attention, or government does not pay attention to that infrastructure, it's not going to allow our economy to expand at the rate that business would like it to expand. On the business side, business needs to understand that we are no longer a small country at the tip of Africa. We are part of, number one, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which links South Africa through 57 of the African states and beyond. Now, that is an opportunity of a 1.1 billion consumer market representing close to 1 trillion US dollars of GDP.
Mm,
And we need to take advantage of that. The second part is that we are playing on global platforms vis-a-vis the BRICS bloc, where we should be expanding our opportunity to reach out into countries to do business with countries like Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran. I mean, it's difficult for us to do a lot of business with India and China, but there are opportunities. But these other countries that have joined the BRICS bloc, we need to expand our opportunity and our relationship with those countries. And that can lead to inward investment into South Africa. We already seen a number of Indonesian companies now looking to establish in South Africa because they see the potential of South Africa as a springboard into the African continental trade. We are members of the IORA, the Indian Ocean Rims
mhm.
organization, which allows us to then leverage the blue economy, the oceans economy, which is a huge opportunity. So I think from a business side, we need to start expanding our mindset and our understanding of where the opportunities are.
Very, very important again. One thing that really stood out for me about this webinar is how it plans to bring together government officials and business leaders, which is something that we stress quite a lot about the interaction between government and the private sector. How important is that public private partnership dynamic, especially when it comes to translating talks into real on the ground investment that the lay men and women of South Africa can be able to feel the effects of?
Together, it gives a message of confidence that there's a working relationship between government and business. Both cannot exist in vacuums, and they need to have a symbiotic relationship because business supports government and government supports business. And by having both government, and we're fortunate to have Yunus Hussain from DTI and a representative from Westgrow in the Western Cape, and myself and a private sector representative to talk about the opportunities from both sides and to create that strong message and give off that message of confidence. We need to grow the relationship between the two. There is part of a conversation that we need to further explore, and that is how does government create more opportunity for businesses to interact with government? And we've seen it in certain areas where that strong relationship has actually yielded positive benefits. So, for instance, when DTIC embarked on the mission to Saudi Arabia, and for a long time, business was stressing that Saudi Arabia represents a huge market for halal beef from export from South Africa, but the difficulty was that the Saudi government had imposed restrictions because of our foot and mouth disease in South Africa for many, many years. But it took a mission to Saudi Arabia by the South African Minister of DTI, together with the state veterinaries and the Department of Agriculture, to convince the Saudis that we were safe enough. And that resulted in a 600,000 ton order of beef from South Africa to be exported to Saudi Arabia. So we see the relationship, we see the positivity, we see the need for the symbiotic relationship. But government needs to do more to increase that relationship.
Mm, mm, I think, when you talk to a South African that has to go out to the world and tell our story and try to bring investment into the country, the one challenge that they always face is, trying to create that balance about the reality that we are having here in the country while also trying to encourage international participation. We know that South Africa is rich with opportunity, but we also know it's facing a lot of challenges, whether it's energy, is policy, is certainty and infrastructure. There's a whole host of them. How do you now balance that reality while trying to encourage that international participation and investment into the country that is so much needed?
I think your question has framed the dialogue in a very nice way. The first thing that we need to do as South Africans is we, as citizens of our country, need to understand the positive message of our country. A lot of businesses, we are faced with difficulty. We are faced with load shedding. We are faced with infrastructure challenges. We are faced with labor challenges. And what happens is that in the psyche of that person, We are a negative country. We have a poor economy, we have poor economic growth, we have a corruption in the country, and in all of this, it then impacts on the psyche. But what we need to
Mm,
understand is that there's a great deal of positiveness in our economy and in our country. So, if I take, for instance, load shedding, which has, for all intents and purposes, ended in March of 2024. And since then, we haven't had that rolling blackout. Yes, we've had two or three incidents where we've had to have load shedding because of breakdowns on generators, but we haven't had the similar kind of load shedding as we've had in the previous 5 years. And that is due to a very concise and precise strategy by the Minister of Electricity, Minister Ramahopa, who has created this strategy together with business to unlock the challenges that it has faced. And so we've seen the positivities of it. We're
mhm.
now seeing more energy coming on tap in terms of renewables and the solar projects. We've seen investment into solar projects. So companies from Egypt have invested in South Africa into the solar projects to create solar generation that is feeding into ESCOM and into the IPPs. So all of this of here is there are silver linings within our country. If we pick on those silver linings and we pick on that positivity, we can create that positive message. And when people see that citizens of the country are positive about their country, then they themselves get confidence in the country. So if you look at a country like Singapore or a country like Indonesia or a country like Turkey, the business people from there will always sing the positive message. They will always give off the positive message. And so we think that there's a lot of positivity in those countries. Yet those countries also face similar challenges as we do. They also face economic challenges. They also face rising unemployment. They also face social inequalities. But yet, when we look at the positive message that comes out from their citizens, we buy that positivity as well. So I think as South Africans, we owe a duty to ourselves that we create this positive message. Yes, we know that there are challenges, but when we start seeing the positivity in those challenges, we can create the solutions for them as well.
No, definitely. I think we're going to leave it on that note, Mr. Patel. Shazakla, so much for joining us. Just before I let you go, are there details about the webinar that you want to share? How can people interact with it? Any parting shot?
Yes, the webinar is being broadcast live. So anyone can enter into the webinar. It will be on our Facebook page. So if you look us up on Facebook under Minara Chamber of Commerce, you can join in the conversation and you can register there as well. So I would encourage listeners of Salam Media to join in the webinar to understand where the opportunities are. There will be short presentations, but a lot more discussion. And I'm looking forward to the presentation by Yunus Hussain from DTIC, who will give us a overview of South Africa's global standing and the standing on the geopolitical and geoeconomic level. So I think that that is a very interesting part of the conversation. I will be focusing on Minara's services and the opportunities that Minara creates by bringing linkages together and the networking that takes place. So, if your listeners of Salam Media want to join the conversation, they can visit our Facebook page, do the registration there, and join in the conversation.
All
It
right.
takes
There you
place
have
at it takes place at South African time, 2 p.m. today.
later today at 2 p.m. Shazakla, so much. We'll share those details with our listeners. Really, really appreciate you giving us the time and always a pleasure.
Shukran, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thanks for that opportunity.
There you go. That was Ibrahim Patel, president of the Minara Chamber of Commerce, helping us unpack South Africa's positioning in the global investment landscape and the strategic significance of today's ICCD Country Focus South Africa webinar. And as you've heard, the opportunities are vast, the timing is critical, and most importantly, private sector is more ready than ever to lead the charge toward a prosperous economic future. To those that are tuning in from across the continent and beyond, if you want to be part of that conversation, you got the details there. It's taking place later on today at 2 p.m. You can head over to Minara Chamber of Commerce social media pages and yeah, be part of it, especially if you're a business person, because I'm just getting some WhatsApp comments here and this one, okay, this person didn't put a name on it, but they're basically saying trust it is easy to talk about increase of business or export in practical because of capitalism. Only elite benefit, not small players. Trust of doing business is lacking. We're battling to get customs code for exports for months. There's red tape and bribery everywhere. Doing business in South Africa is difficult. Speaking on radio is easy. This is a comment that we got from one of our listeners on WhatsApp. And do you share that sentiment? Are you a small, medium sized business owner in South Africa? What are some of the key challenges that you're facing when it comes to running a business, a successful business in South Africa? And do you think webinars like this make a difference? And I think maybe just engage with it. Head over to Minara Chamber of Commerce, click onto their social media pages. There's a link where you can join that webinar and interact, share, make people understand some of the challenges that you're facing, because I think it starts there. When there's common ground, there's a platform to share the challenges and some of the concerns that you have regarding doing business in South Africa. You should be doing exactly that, because I think we are at a place where small and medium-sized businesses in South Africa are essentially the way to go. Looking for government, looking for private sector to create mass employment, it doesn't look feasible, and I don't think it looks feasible in any part of the country. People are starting their own little businesses, and I think if you probe enough, especially from a government's point of view, if you ask the right questions and you do what essentially you're entitled to do, which is ask for support from government and the sectors that really are at the heart of encouraging small and medium-sized businesses, then you'll get the answers, because they've failed in creating employment in the country. South Africans themselves are saying, well, the onus is on us now. South Africa has really, really creative, brilliantly minded individuals. And it's clear, that if the government is failing, the people will put it onto themselves. And we've seen small and medium-sized businesses thrive for a very, very long time in South Africa, despite the economic challenges that we have. So it's all about networking. It's about engaging with webinars like these ones, and putting some of the key issues that you have on the spotlight. But don't forget, you can also engage with us, small, medium-sized business owner. What are some of the key challenges that you faced? And what do you think should or can be the mitigating factors thereof? Our studio line is 0116800355. Let's talk on the radio. Or you can send us a WhatsApp on 061 Let's keep the conversation going, even though we've come to the end of the show. It's been another brilliant one. I'll be back with you again for the Thursday edition of News and Views. Inayat Wadi will be back today, later on, for Wednesday Nights with Inayat. I think that's taking place later today. From 7 right until 9 later today. And if you want to get the latest regarding some of the conversations on that front, you better keep up, because I think there's a jam-packed show that's been lined up. The Freedom Flotilla that has been making the headlines and the news is going to be a key point of conversation. I mean, we've seen, I think, a really brilliant show of solidarity by 12 people essentially that have shooken the whole world, and it's starting to gain steam. There's a march to the Rafah border later this year by people from all across the world. There's South Africans. Salam Media will be having a reporter from there. Wink, wink. So we'll be bring you the latest on that front. So there's going to be this huge walk to the Rafah border from Egypt, from people all across the country, solidarity groups, individuals, politicians, activists. Most people will be there, and we'll be bringing you the latest on that front regarding that. And there's also this really big one that's taking place. It's launched by the Tunisians. It's a land convoy to Gaza. It's a show of solidarity. So I'm liking these new movements and how we're kind of rethinking how to show solidarity with Gaza. It's not just about protesting in our own countries, tweeting from the comfort of our own homes. That is proven to fail numerous times. So I think the next best thing now is to go to Gaza, go to Rafah on the border, say, then has the attention of the world. Everyone wants to help, but the gates are locked and the people of Gaza are dying in their numbers. So yeah, I think really, really big stories and big initiatives that are, doing the rounds. Another one which is doing the rounds is a really cool one by us here at Salam Media, another Global Voices campaign that we'll be launching later on this month. If you are following us on our various social media pages, you would know. You'd know what we have lined up. It's going to be a really big one. We'll share the details and some of the intricacies of what you need to know when you need to know and what exactly is going to be happening on our social media pages. Those that know, and it's going to be really big. There's something coming to Soweto, something that has never been done before, that's going to display South Africa's solidarity with Palestine on a level never seen before. And Salam Media is championing all of that. So, yeah, keep your eyes and ears locked into your home of humanitarian journalism. My name is Salailo Makwidire. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. But for now, sharp, sharp.